Good morning and good night. Thanks again for downloading the Body Snatchers podcast. And when you listen, stream, or download straight to your device, Castbox is your best option. Remember, if you like what you hear today, don't forget to subscribe and comment. So let's get started. Enjoy the show.
All right, guys. Good morning. Good night. Thank you for choosing the Body Snatchers podcast. Today, we're going to switch things up a little bit. I know usually we talk about super nerd subjects. Today, this is more of a movie than anything else. I guess it's subjective. But we have Mikie joining us from Nerds in the Dark. Mikie, say hello.
Hello.
This is actually my first time seeing him on camera. I've never met him in person, but I've been friends with him for a few years in the Body Snatchers anime, comics, and gaming group. So he's a cool dude. I'm gonna post some links in the comments, so you guys can check out his YouTube channel. Check out what do you guys got? Instagram now. You're on Facebook. You got a couple places, right?
Yeah. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, the whole nine.
See, all that cool stuff because us people in the nerd community like to stick together. That's just how it goes. So today, we are going to be discussing the new movie from Jordan Peele, Us. I know it's a little bit different, but it struck a chord with me. And honestly, when Get Out came out, I really wanted to talk about it. And I was like, nah, we're not going to do it. Not nerdy enough. But yeah, we're going to talk about it this time. So consider this a bonus show. If this isn't your speed, your cup of tea, you're not going to hurt my feelings if you guys click past it. I totally understand. And also, before we get started, I wanted to say we do have a contest going out right now for 2 tickets for Avengers Endgame. So if you guys are interested in winning that, head over to youtube.com/Body Snatchers podcast. All you got to do is subscribe to the channel, like our Captain Marvel video, and leave a comment as to what you're looking forward to seeing most in the new movie. And that's pretty much it. Good luck to everybody who enters. So let's talk about this movie because I have a feeling that Mikie and myself are not going to see eye to eye. Would you like to begin things, sir?
Yeah. Okay. So for the most part, I think this movie is overall amazing. But I just hated the ending so much. Like, I think if you cut off the last 2 minutes, this movie is like almost a masterpiece. It's like 9 out of 10 for me.
Okay, I super disagree, but let me add for everybody listening, major spoilers. We're really just gonna dive right into the meat and potatoes. This is not one of those things where we're gonna skip around. So if you haven't seen it yet and you're worried about getting screwed over and not being able to be surprised, just tune out, come back after you've seen it, and we'll have this discussion. Now, meat and potatoes. The ending. You didn't care for the ending, man? I don't understand why.
So everything up until that last reveal, like just that last reveal that shows the switch from the very beginning, it leaves you with so many questions that you didn't have to have. Everything about it made sense all the way up until that twist, because then the questions that you're asking yourself at that point, you're saying, okay, well, how did this happen? How did that happen? Why didn't this just be a thing from the start? Like,
I mean, I think it made perfect sense. So first off, let's talk about this weird clone underground cult thing that's going on where these doppelgangers are coming from.
okay.
They don't speak. They appear to pretty much be mindless up until you introduce a new element into their ecosystem. That element being the young girl who got switched, right?
Right.
So she's capable of speaking. And I thought the ending was nice because, it was weird that she was the only one really talking in the whole movie out of, that evil clique. But her talking was very weird. And it made total sense when you see her freaking voice box damn near get crushed by, her evil doppelganger in the beginning as a little girl. So, I mean, that set all that in place. And then, obviously they're not too smart, but they're being led with somebody who's got a freaking, 3rd grade education, who's now freaking crazy as hell.
I mean, so I can definitely see that aspect of it. I think where it kind of falls apart to me is that, like, so her talking and being the only one that talks, I'm like, yeah, that makes sense as to an explanation for that. But when you look at it from the perspective of how she talks and what she says, like the stuff that she talks about is kind of way too advanced for the education she would have had at that point.
Yes and no. I mean, the only thing that I think was questionable that she stated, and really it's just because we don't know enough about the nature of really just what's going on down there in the underground mine, or whatever you want to call it. We don't know what produced them, what's how they're getting food. We don't know any of that. All that's just a mystery. Uh, how they're getting clothes. Like there's a lot of questions, sure,
Yeah, yeah,
but I mean, like the basics, of her feeling all that hate and animosity towards, the evil, um, Red, I guess it was her name.
yeah,
Yeah, so her having all those feelings towards Red, the evil one, it made a lot of sense to me. The way she went in there and put her foot down and was like, "No, everybody's gonna feel this," and it was just it put you in a weird space. I think it it was just really strange. It was hard to digest because here you are seeing the what you think is the good version, that Lupita played, and she's saving the kids and all this crap throughout the movie, and she's kind of like a hero, and she finishes off the evil doppelganger at the end. But when you find out that she's actually been the evil one the whole time, it puts you in a weird space, man. Like for instance,
yeah,
that scene at the end when the good Lupita is killing the bad one, and we don't know what happened yet, but now we know. She's handcuffed and wraps around her neck, and with every fiber of her being is just like choking her, who's already bleeding out, and then snaps her neck, and like it really put again, I hate to keep saying the same thing, but weird space because here I am like, yes, get her, finally, there's a
yeah,
resolution, and you feel that, and then now you're looking at it and you're like, oh my god, like that hate and that anger and that confused look on the evil one's
sure,
face. Well, the who we thought was evil, that was really the good one. Just like I can't believe like I'm taking this loss.
yeah. And so when that happened, I thought that was like really great. And then like you can see when there's the part where she kills her, right? And then she makes that noise that all the other ones have been making up at
Yeah,
that point. And that was like your clue that like something was going to happen. But when I first saw that, I kind of envisioned it as it was like a descent into madness, right? She went over that side to go that extra mile to make sure that she died,
right.
right? And I was like, okay, this is really cool and like a twist and like kind of what we expect from a hero and someone who is a survivor,
She crossed that
you know.
line.
Right. And I was like, this is pretty dope. But to have it be that she was just basically one of them all the time, the kind of questions that it leaves me with is like, why did she have fear? Like, why was she irrationally afraid of the other side? Like, that's what she was from. She's not.
Well, see, and I'm glad you brought that up because that's how I don't know. I guess I could see it. I could understand it because if you go all the way back, with the clips of honestly even the end, where they're showing the clips of both of the little girls walking through, their respective locations at the same time. So you have one in the real world, and they're going to meet each other, and one in this evil
Yeah,
underground like lair. And when she's walking through, she looked to be confused and out of place, and like she didn't really, want to be there. So when they met each other, she's like, here's my chance. You know what I mean? She didn't really understand it, but she just went with it. She choked what's her face, she dragged her in, handcuffed her, and went out into the real world. And the moment she went out into the real world, she was found by her parents. And when
yeah,
they found her, here they are thinking, she's got post traumatic stress syndrome and all this other stuff going on. But really, the reason she's so different is because it's not the same girl. It's not her daughter. So now they're
yeah,
introducing her to therapy, and they're like, how come she doesn't want to dance anymore, and all the things that their daughter liked to do because it's not the same girl. And
right.
I think after getting exposed to that, uh, you know, the way I took it is she didn't really remember that she was the evil one. Like it had been pushed down to her subconscious. And then when she killed the good one or bad one, however you want to look at it, at the end, that's when everything clicked, and she was like, "This is where I come from. This is me." You know what I mean?
I mean, possibly, but like it just doesn't work for me because like you have at the beginning like just the fear that she's like no one believed her. this is what she saw, and she ran, she was terrified, right? Then you kind of like you flash forward, and she goes down into those like depths, and she's looking through everything, and everything is alien to her. But it's
Right.
just like, how is this alien to you? Like, if you were born in this, like, this isn't alien to you. And then the other thing that weirded me out was that all the clones are tethered, right? They're tethered to the person. um However, once they switch places, they alluded to the fact that the shadow, the roles of shadow and I guess puppeteer were switched.
Right. Yeah, and to be honest, I don't really have an answer for that. And the movie didn't really focus on that. They kind of left that open to interpretation, and I think that ties into us not knowing what mysterious you know testing happened, or was there still somebody that was coming down to check on these people, or what the hell was it that was even creating them.
Yeah,
There's But it's to me, it's no worse than like Hancock, where like the end of the movie hits and they're just like, "Well, there was always two of us," and you're like, "Oh, okay, but why?" I don't know. And when we get close, we're weaker, but when we're apart, it's just one of those things.
yeah,
You gotta just swallow that pill. So
yeah. No, I definitely like get that. It just, I guess there's like parts of it that kind of, it takes it. I think that ending and like what they did with it kind of takes away from some of the cooler aspects. Like I really loved right before right before she died, the dancing fight scene. I thought that was like cinematically like beautiful. I like everything about it like was kind of poetic
well,
as you were watching it.
and I want to
And
interject just before I forget. I agree with you, but I don't think we lost anything when they told you what the ending was. If anything, it made it better. And the reason I feel that way is because what if you're looking at the timeline, we assumed that the clone that's been living in the real world this whole time was a dancer, and she wasn't. She was clunky, she was sloppy, and that's when it started to kind of hit me, because the original girl, uh who had been trapped down there, if you look at the timeline, she had that the whole ballerina recital thing going on, and then went to the beach with her mother and father, and then ended up switching places. So dancing still is what she knew at her core, and she displayed that with awesome kick-ass ability. Like, that's how she was fighting, and I don't know, I still think it was beautifully put. But I mean, I guess I get you. It's the twist we didn't want to happen, but I mean, at the end of it, this is the woman that we have fallen in love with throughout the whole movie.
yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe on a subsequent viewing, I might be swayed, but right now it just kind of left me feeling salty. Like you know what it honestly felt like. I'll tell you right now. Like, I know he's doing Twilight Zone, and I feel like that was a Twilight Zone ending. Like, if you had switched out the soundtrack at the end and it just starts going doo 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 doo, like I would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. Like, it was just weird.
And I think maybe my mind is more open to it right now, because I just got done finishing the Love, Sex and Robots, or whatever the hell it was, on Netflix. I don't know if you
Okay,
had a chance to check that out, but
I
it's
haven't seen it yet.
it's kind of like Black Mirror, but it's all animated, where it's a bunch of
Okay,
short, amazing short, like, little films that every single one has like an insane like plot twist at the end. Uh,
okay. Everybody's telling me to like watch it,
oh, dude,
so
that's
it's on my list.
oh yeah, we're gonna do a show on that. I believe this weekend, so or at least the beginning of next
Okay.
week. But yeah, get that on your radar. But not to get too far off subject, but I'm not surprised about the twist in this thing, just because, bro. I mean, if you looked at her how would you call it, like savage tendencies, you know like, think about it, really think about it. So they're going through the movie, and Winston, who played the father, like, he wasn't really a soft dude, and he wasn't really a badass. He was just a normal guy, and he was fighting for his life, and he barely had it in him to do what he needed to do. And
Yep.
honestly, the same for the children. So why was the mother so special? I mean, did that resonate with you? Because she was very aggressive every time. Once the ball got rolling and it came down to kill, I mean, she was a savage. She even walked up to the kids for what I first interpreted as, her going up to him like, "Wow, this is what it feels like. I feel bad for killing you, because you're a doppelganger of my child. So even though you're not mine, this I feel felt like from a mother's standpoint, she was feeling something. That's how I took it at first. And then when you look back, I'm like, you know what? She kind of had like this sinister look in her eyes every time she finished off one of them. And I don't think that she, it had registered in her mind yet, you know, what she
Okay.
was feeling, but I think it was just in her nature. And it just made more sense to me at the end of it. Like when the girl was hanging in the tree, like backwards after they
Yeah.
hit her with the
Yeah.
car, she walked right up to her slowly and took all this extra time. And keep in mind, this bitch had handcuffs on the whole time. So it's like,
Yeah.
she's not a killer. She's never been a warrior that as far as we know. And she's bound and is still like, everybody stay in the car. I'm gonna end this. She does that multiple times.
Yeah. Yeah. It's weird because I kind of saw it when she looked at them, like she kind of was soft on them.
Right.
Like when she saw the kid, and she was like, she just watched her die, and she was like, shh, no, 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 And then when the boy was gonna die, like by walking into the how he died. I don't want to be like spoiler, 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 but like walking into how he died, she was screaming no. She was trying to stop it from happening.
Yeah. But when it did
So
happen, it didn't seem to phase her the way that I would have had expected it to, you know? So I
yeah,
mean, I don't know, man. Like to me, it made a lot of sense. And it leaves you either way, like whether, we look at it from your perspective or mine, it's gonna leave you with a salty taste.
yeah,
It's just
yeah.
put that in your lips. What that taste like? What's that taste like? Shut
I
up.
think it's Jordan Peele just trolling people. Honestly, that he's just like, this ending is what it is, and however you feel about it, that's what I meant.
But I think having a controversial ending like this is going to make it that much better in the long run. Because first off, this movie as a whole, whatever you want to call it, I'm considering it a thriller. For me, it's a breath of fresh air because I'm a huge fan, or I should say, I used to be of horror films and things of that nature, and I've been really let down. Honestly, like since I was a little kid, I haven't had anything good come out that's consistent. I should say.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm a really big fan of horror, and one of the things I hate that horror is relying on in the past few years is jump scares. Uh,
Yes. Oh my God. Yes.
it's just so much that like it's an awful thing that you have a movie that just relies on just being really quiet and then suddenly really loud. And it's just like I don't understand why this isn't horror. Like this is an aspect of horror, but this isn't scary to have something jump out at me. But
Right.
this movie was like creepy, and it was like the whole time you felt anxiety for the whole family. Like there
And
was
you
nothing anything that
should.
like yeah, it wasn't any jump scares in this movie, maybe one or two, but the whole thing just like it made you anxious the whole time, and I thought that this was a good horror film.
Man, see, you're speaking my language now because that's I've been feeling that way for a long time. And some of the more recent series that I like, but I don't think that they're as good as they could be, or at least they started off good and kind of fell off, would be honestly between Insidious and The Conjuring.
Okay.
I really enjoyed Insidious, really for the lore, just because you got a movie where you got a kid in the first movie who can do astral projection, and we find out his father used to astral project, and he went straight, too far away, and the demon found him, and there's a demon world. You know what I mean? Like that was some cool shit that you're not typically gonna get in most movies where it's a freaky ghost and and it's going after kids. And that's another thing. I don't know how
Yeah.
many podcast episodes you've listened to, but for our show, but one of my favorite things in a horror movie is where they kill the children. And
Okay.
a lot of people that makes them feel some type of way when I make that statement. But kids are not special. Fuck those kids. Okay, when you have a good horror movie and when a demon, 1,000-year-old witch or some shit in a mansion is slaughtering people and possessing them or
Yeah.
whatever, it's not gonna go into the room and go, children. Well,
Yeah.
the best thing I can do for you is possess you. I'll possess you and we'll kill adults using your body. That's bullshit. You know what I mean? So have you've seen A Quiet Place, right?
Yes. Yes.
Bro, I think I did give a standing ovation for that movie. They started it off and in the first 8 minutes, sorry, spoiler alert, they fucking slice a 2 or 3 year old in half. And I was like, I'm invested. I'm here because I know that you'll go there, and same with the most recent It remake for part 1.
Right. Right.
When they
Yeah.
kill the boy who's going by the sewer, like in the original, like whatever, like they kill him and it's sad. But this one, like, no, 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 no. Like, you deserve
Like
better. viewer. So let's rip off his arm and drag him into this. You know what I mean? And I was like,
Yeah.
yes, yes. So
Uh,
but these are things that you need because again,
yeah.
shock factor is a should be a percentage of a film. But I feel like if you had to break it down, shock factor at the very most should be like a 30% thing. If I'm going to a film and every other frame is just really dark lighting and stupid ass unnecessary camera angles in order to get you to do this, I'm probably
Yeah.
not going to come around for the next one. And I think that that Jordan Peele really took his time with it, and it was just like,
Yeah.
and not to talk too much, but for instance, like remember when Rob Zombie first started coming out and doing stuff?
Yes. Yes.
And it's I'm not the biggest fan of those movies, but I will say that he brought them back, like to their original, what they were supposed to be, what they were meant to be, and it had its own original flair to it, I guess you could say. And I
Are you
appreciated it.
talking House of a Thousand Corpses, or are you talking about Halloween?
More so House of a Thousand Corpses.
Okay.
Halloween,
Yeah.
even Rob Zombie can't do that justice.
Yeah.
It is
You're
what
right.
it is. What wasn't he like an archer in that one? I was kind of with it, and then all of a sudden, like Michael Myers had like or maybe it was the Jason
That was the
remake.
second one.
Was it? Okay, all right, yeah. Like
Yeah.
somebody, I just remember him getting up in the woods and shooting a bow and arrow, and I was like, no,
Yeah.
no, I'm not
Yeah,
okay
no,
with
it was
this.
bad.
So
So
go ahead.
what you said kind of reminded me of about the kids thing. Have you ever seen The Rite, where with Anthony Hopkins, he gets possessed by a demon? He was like a priest.
I believe I have. It sounds awfully familiar, but if I've seen it,
There's
I've
just
probably only seen it once.
the movie's not great. But the only scene I remember from that movie is that there's a little girl that comes up and she's like, "Father, can you bless my dolly?" And he smiles, he looks over her, he looks away, and then all of a sudden, just like, bam, just smacks the shit out this kid. And
Gold.
that's the only scene I remember, but I just remember dying while watching it. And it's just like, yeah, no, it's great when they do stuff to kids. Like, I
Man,
mean, put that
it's
on my tombstone, but
and people are gonna get offended. People are not gonna agree with us. But at the end of the day, this weird fucking sugar cult society, I'm so tired of this shit, man. Like it's gotta be real and it's gotta be raw. And a horror movie, especially a horror movie, should
yes.
should not be an exception. For these things. And I'm not saying every single horror movie kill a bunch of kids, but if they're gonna be in there and they're in a situation where they should be hurt or die, then then do it.
Oh, I absolutely agree. And they killed some kids in this, so it was, you know, it
They,
happened.
they did, and they also didn't make it the focal point. Like
Yeah.
I honestly thought that I was surprised and also excited to see that this was going on all over the town, at least potentially the country. We really don't know. But we're assuming the town just because that's the center, and we went to their neighbor's house. We saw more of them that were holding hands
Yeah.
down the line. But when they went to their neighbor's house and the power went on and went out and the backup generator kicked on and everything started going down, I was like, dude, yes, there's more of them. Like perfect. And the stupid ass
Yeah.
twins, like you got to see them die 4 times. How
Yes.
great was that?
That was great.
How fantastic was that?
I mean, I also thought it was great that the first on-screen deaths that we have in this movie, all white people.
I was
I
actually
felt some
saving
type
that
of
for
way
last.
about it.
I was happy about it. I don't care.
Yeah, it was great that you didn't see, there was not a single. I mean, unless you're counting the fake dad, the shadow dad, then the first on-screen death was,
Oh yeah, the little bit of blood in the what do you call it? The motor to the boat and
yeah,
some bubbles. Yeah, I mean, because I believe he was the first one to take the. Actually, no, he wasn't the first one to take the L. The first dead body was the guy that had the 1111 sign.
yeah,
So he was the
but
first one,
we just weren't sure what killed him yet. Like we knew it was related to this,
right?
and it was also, I thought it was really cool that they all had essentially a plan of what they were supposed to do after they killed their one, and he was the first one to do it, and there he was, just posted up, doing his thing with his arms out.
I agree. And to be clear, we're not saying that we hate all white people. We're just saying without anybody saying anything officially, when you're watching this, you can feel that the dynamic of this movie is different from the majority of movies that come out. And I think that that's powerful and that says something because I noticed right away. As soon as that
Yeah,
happened, I was just like, "Hey, this never happens. Like that's a weird way to do it." And
yeah,
I like that because it's leveling the playing field.
yeah.
So hey,
I mean, this movie, like the whole way through, had had color in it, and I, I mean, I love that, man. I love that a family singing together, um,
it gave me
and it's
feels.
not, yeah, it's not like a white approved song. That's what you know,
I got
because that's what you
five
get,
on it. Yeah, I've
exactly.
already got it on my Spotify, man. I had to immediately. I think I listened to it 30 times today. I saw the movie last night. But
Okay,
man, bro, can we talk about how fine Lupita was looking in this movie?
yeah, she looked great.
Man, and then I gotta look up who was playing her mother in the beginning because she had some cheeks. I'm sorry. I noticed they shouldn't have done so many shots from the rear. I
That was,
apologize.
and then the thing is that they just did it, and they decided, they were like, this is such a great view, we're gonna do it 3 times,
I noticed that.
because they did it, then they did the flashback of it, and then they did the flashback where they showed the shadow version.
Yes. And I was just like, No, she was looking right, man. Whole movie. And but just to here, I'll put that aside for a second. The family dynamic that you were saying,
Yeah,
Winston, dude, even after he was taking some L's, and he took quite a
yeah,
few L's, like
yeah,
I'm like, dude, I want to be him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is a cool ass dude. Like, he's got a hot wife, and they got a good relationship. He's got summer home, good relationship with the kids, and he's like, his jokes were like corny, but they were just
yeah,
classic dad jokes, and it was the movie brings you in really, really fast to just want to be a part of that family or feel loved, and then when you see him going through it, like you're really like, oh shit, like this is how it would really go down. Where dad's like, all
yeah.
right, did you call the cops? And they're like, yeah, and he's like, all right, cool, I'm gonna go back out there. Just so you know, the cops are on that way, but if you got problems, I was like, dude, that's definitely me. Like, I would, if I posted the story on Facebook, I wouldn't tell that part. Like, I'm like, yeah, I went out there with my bat, but like Kathy knows goddamn well, I'd be like, look, call the police first.
100%. Yo, and then when he came back in, and he was like, yo, they're crazy. And they like, when are the cops coming? 14 minutes. 14 minutes.
But like it's just raw, because that's exactly how it would go. Like, and
Yeah,
if it's funny because seeing something so realistic on screen is so uncommon that now it's if I go back and watch other movies that unfortunately I can't think of off the top of my head right now, but it's gonna make me downplay a lot of old scenes where like where it seems believable or it did at least at the time, but now that you know how a movie should go, with for something like this
yeah,
with real life, it's like I'm sure it's going to ruin a lot of movies for me, so you're going to see somebody. I mean, of course, old school films where all the white people are like, let's split up. That's always stupid. But I'm talking about like the more severe type of situations, where the planning is just
sure.
like extraordinary. And you're like, what are you doing? That's a bad idea. And the people
Yeah,
aren't being real. They're like, I'm going to sacrifice myself. No, ain't nobody saying that shit.
no. And like, there's so much about it that was realistic. It was like, get away from the windows, don't run away, like, we're sticking together, like, everything there was like legitimately, like, the parents protecting their kids, trying to make smart decisions, you know even up to the argument of, like, who drives.
Yeah, you're absolutely
Everything there
right.
was like legitimate, like, conversations.
And that's exactly how it would go all the way through. And then I like how the girl got benched after fucking smashing what's her face with the car. They just casually like
Yeah,
switched him out, like didn't say anything about it. Like, nah,
yeah,
you told me you were gonna drive. Now I'm driving.
yeah,
So overall, I absolutely loved it. Obviously, some minor differences, with how we feel about the ending. Of course, I wanted that fairy tale ending where that didn't happen, and I didn't get that. But at the end of the day, I have to admit that it's a good film. It's I would buy it. I probably will buy it on Blu-ray once it comes out, just because I mean it's dope, man. You're not gonna get a lot of this
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. I think, I mean, overall, I did really enjoy it. Like I said, if I don't count the ending that I don't like, is definitely a 9 out of 10. But even with that ending, it's probably like a 7 out of 10. So I still would recommend it to people.
I'm
Yeah,
going.
the ending's worth 2 points to me, man. It's crazy.
Going for like a 9.8 to a 9.7. Like it hurts, but get over it. Not you directly, but
Wow.
not you directly. You know what? Fuck. It's you directly. You got to get
No,
over
I
it.
get it.
Sack up. Sack up.
Yeah.
So, all right, man. Well, we are at time, but I definitely appreciate you taking the time to, come on to the show today.
Man,
And
thanks for having me.
oh, no problem, man. And from your own words, do you want to, direct some of the fans, listeners, where to go to check out your guys' YouTube channel and, whatever?
You can find us on YouTube. We are Nerds in the Dark, and that's whatever you are on /Nerds in the Dark, you will find us. And we're just some guys who sit around and guys and gals, I should say, that sit around and talk about movies, games, and whatever is on our minds.
So there you have it. So, all right, guys, well, check out the movie. Make sure you head over to bodysnatcherspodcast.com if you're a new listener. You can find us on all different forms of social media, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, all that good stuff. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Support us, please. That being said, you guys take care. Say bye. There it is.